Hello and welcome everyone to a glorious day in the podcast world. Hope everybody had a great 4th of July and was safe. Being the summertime, the weather can really mess some things up to say. So I know there's been going a lot of crazy things with weather and stuff. We hope everybody was safe and had a happy weekend. But today, all about a topic dear to me as I grew up on it. We're going to really dive into Final Fantasy IX, and there's a reason. Okay, so don't think this is just some random Final Fantasy topic. There is a method to our madness here. So before we get into that, we always do a spoiler warning just in case, even though the game is 25 years old. Let's do our spoiler warning.
Well, just from this point on, if you have not seen, played, I don't think anything can be read about Final Fantasy IX.
Oh, there is. Believe me, you can.
Okay. If you have not done any of those, please go do so and come back to us. If you have, or if you just do not care, then just sit back and relax as we dive into Final Fantasy IX.
Yeah, we're going to, obviously, if you listen to our show, we branch off a lot.
Yeah.
We get on to tangents, but there's a reason, okay? So Final Fantasy IX released July 7th, 2020. So if that kind of gives you any kind of inclination of why we're going into this. Originally released on I believe the PlayStation. Yeah, I grew up on, I'm trying to remember. But it's been since like re-released on PC, I think even mobile, and obviously like the PS4, and don't know about Xbox, but modern consoles, we'll just call it that. It looks really good actually on the PS4. I played it on the PS4. Basically when I say re-release, it's like what would you call it? Like an upscale graphics, right? Stuff like that. That makes the characters look good. Nothing changed in the game or anything like that. Just kind of, because they did it with 7 too. They released it for the PS4 and it's kind of like an upscale. And I think we talked about earlier, like quality of life stuff. So I and some friends of mine that I work with and know, if you follow Final Fantasy news, obviously I think Final Fantasy Tactics just got, I believe it was State of Play, they got announced like this full remaster along with the original game, I believe. So Tactics, it's a strategy game, but this really wasn't the news. A lot of people love Tactics, don't get me wrong. Me personally was wanting the Final Fantasy IX news. So there's been a rumor ever since 2021. If you follow gaming, you follow NVIDIA, there's this huge leak back in 2021. Okay, so lots of games were on that list. Lots of them. I think Wolverine, of course, that's been deadly silent, which is kind of scary. A lot of games were on this leak, quote unquote, and so but Final Fantasy IX was one of them. And if you Google it, or if you read and stuff like that, there's a lot of information out there that they've been working on it for years and that it's really close. Okay, now what does that mean for us? Square Enix has not said anything publicly yet, right? Like none of us have seen, right? Like you haven't seen anything, I haven't, nothing that's been concrete.
Yeah.
So, you were talking earlier, like Square Enix has been like posting new promotional art, music, I even think too. And so this has been going around for months too. And so it's like, what do you like trying to stoke the fires is my hope, right? So the rumor is that tomorrow, which is the 25th anniversary edition, the remaster might get possibly announced. Okay. So again, if you're a fan, and let's talk about that really quick, about a remaster. So the information that we've read, it's not going to be like Final Fantasy VII, the trilogy that they've broken this game into. I'll get into my thoughts there. You remember when Remake got announced back in, gosh, what was that, man? Like 2020, 2019? Oh, that's when it released, I'm sorry. Because Rebirth came out last February. That was 2024. So yeah, so I think Remake came out in 2020. So I think there's about a 4-year split between Remake and Rebirth. So the game probably got announced in 2016, 2017. It's kind of funny because we didn't know what it was going to be, but then they decided to break the game up into 3 parts, and the first game, if you played 7, which I've played it hundreds and hundreds of hours, takes place just in Midgar, which it's funny, I'm replaying the original. You can get out of Midgar in about 5 hours, where they turn this huge game into like a 40-hour game, which is, remake is good, but I think a lot of people for 9, I don't know if I want that, you know what I mean? If
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Well, I think that's the type of game where Final Fantasy VII kind of garnered that kind of detail and
For sure,
length,
it's
you know?
huge, right? Like, that's a
It
good point.
is, and just the tactic style, the storyline, the characters, it kind of involves a lot more of the lengthy battles or just trying to find your way through a lot of things.
Yeah, and it's weird. It almost like it, because if you Final Fantasy, obviously they're up to 16. 1 through 6 are the, what do you call them, the old 2D term, the style. And then 7 comes out for the PS1, and honestly, it changes the entire genre of JRPGs. Honestly, when you think of JRPG, probably 7 comes to mind first.
Yeah, probably for a lot of people.
For a lot of people, right? Because it honestly, especially here in the West, it just, completely jumped. Like, I don't know how many copies the game, so obviously it's done very well. Numerous, spin-offs.
Yeah.
The game still holds, it's in my heart. It's probably it's the best game of all time. So yeah, when you think of a remake, and it's hard, and that's a good point you make. These big RPG games, you have to imagine how hard it is to remake, because it's not like you can take the code from the original,
Yeah.
and slap it in Unreal Engine 5 and call it good, you know what I mean, with some tweaks. It's basically from the ground up, right?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like, because of, how old the original Final Fantasy VII
Right.
is and how much they were wanting to add to it, and of course change the entire look of it. Like you said, it's basically from the ground up with just the bare minimum of the story to go on, right?
Exactly.
But despite that, I do think that they did a good job with the remake. I think it's fun.
The game's beautiful. Both of them
it's
are
a beautiful game.
Now, I have I'll say complaints about
Yeah.
Rebirth. You talked about getting chalked down with endless, pointless side quests. That was Rebirth. And
I do think that could have been.
And the games, and my God, the game, like, look, man, I'm about to go down a tangent on
You're good.
remaking Rebirth, because if you played the original, Rebirth ends at the end of disc 1. So you've got one more game to finish 2 discs. And they haven't got into, there's a lot they haven't got into yet, so I'm scared they're going to cut stuff out. And so, there's and we were talking about this earlier, for Final Fantasy IX, there's a project out there. It's called Memoria. It's called the Memoria Project. It's a tribute to Final Fantasy IX, and like 50 developers went on, and basically there's a 25-minute YouTube clip out there with it's I don't know how would you classify this? Not a remaster, but almost like
it's kind of like a proof of concept.
Yeah, it's like a POC. Yeah, good point. A proof of concept of what I guess a remaster or an uplift of what it would look like. And it's phenomenal.
Yeah, it is.
But that to me fits with the style of how 9 should be. Because we talked about this. Final Fantasy 9 and 7 are different, because 9, you kind of, man, how do I say this? It kind of leans toward more the comic book feel, I guess.
Yeah, a little
your
bit
main
more.
character has a tail, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not bad at all. I love the character. Zidane is awesome, but like there's a lot of some of the characters where you've got a
Well, that's in them doing the different style like this. I think that's good, because they're embracing what the Final Fantasy games are, which is a different
it is good
style and world with each. You're experiencing a completely different universe with every game, right? And I love that consistency.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
Yeah, and I think that consistency will follow through should they stay as that style that they've had.
Yeah.
In that project that they've.
And that's a good point, because even going to Final Fantasy 8 was one of the more how do I describe this? Like, just like God, this is gonna sound weird, but all the characters were humans, right? Like, they were people and stuff like that. So the 9 does shift from that, and you start getting into more like not fantasy, but more otherworldly stuff, right? It
Yeah.
was different from 7 and 8, I think, a lot.
Yeah, and that's perfectly fun. That's what the
Oh
Final
yeah, no,
Fantasy games
8
are.
I love 9. 9, like I said, I'm ready to be super excited or very disappointed um tomorrow, because I what I worry about, because this is the perfect time to announce this game is tomorrow. Like, why wait? Like, some of the stuff I was reading, like they could wait until some point later in the year, but why not just announce it tomorrow?
Yeah, if they really were planning on actually making this game happen, I feel like the best time where it'd be the most best, well, the best received would be the anniversary because it's on everyone's
Yeah,
minds,
exactly. And they've
you
been
know.
posting new stuff,
Yeah,
right?
and
Like
if they put like,
artwork
yeah,
and
I think if they put like maybe some sales in the other Final Fantasy games during the 25th anniversary, that would also kind
oh,
of
that's a
hype
good
up
point.
some
That's a good
ideas,
call. Yeah,
because
I like that.
yeah, it's kind of like what Resi did when they announced the Requiem trailer and
Yeah.
stuff, but it just
Yep.
kind of gets people in the mood and they get
Yeah.
excited about playing the games. It's
Yep.
just it's a way to build
Good
hype,
point.
but also a way to like when they're at the highest thought processes with only Final Fantasy on their minds or like just
Yeah.
steadily in the back of their minds. I think it'd be the
Right.
best to announce that because it would be the most well received and not either kind of shadowed or not
Imagine a
addressed as
shadow
quickly as you
drop.
want. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that's a great point. And it's funny you mentioned the sale. Like, remember when Devil May Cry on Netflix was hugely popular? They put all the games on sale.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a great,
Yeah, those are
it's
great ideas.
phenomenal. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I think I even went and picked them up on Steam just for my Steam
Mhm.
Deck. I was like, oh, they're like $5. Sure, I'll pick them up. Right? I mean,
Yeah.
my God, they're probably 15-year-old games. And maybe even longer.
Mhm.
I can't. So it makes perfect sense to do that.
Oh, yeah. It does.
So that's actually a really good point to think about. The huge sale going on or something like that tomorrow. But
Mhm.
yeah. So I mean, look, like it. I don't want to say it's a long shot, but I do worry. Like, it's not going to happen because I mean, even if it doesn't, the game still holds up incredibly well. So all right, let's talk a little bit. What's the game about, right? So if you don't know anything about Final Fantasy, they're big into like mythology. So Gaia, that's what I mean, a lot of Final Fantasies, that's what Earth is called, right? It's Gaia, which makes sense. If you follow Greek mythology, so the Gaia, there's a huge lore that goes into the name. So, like I think I mentioned before, you have this main character named Zidane, and I'm not going to get into the entire story of the game, but it starts out, you're kind of part of I guess a group of thieves is what I would call them. They're hired to kidnap the princess, which Garnet, or if you know the game, Dagger. And then obviously things go awry, and so and it's funny. I think, yeah, if I remember correctly, she paid to have herself kidnapped. Long story,
Yeah.
right? So the reason why she wants to leave, she's about to turn, I think, 16. So as a summoner, that's when like the summons become available, or she can start calling, or something like that. Sorry if I'm a little loosely. It's been a minute, but so she wants to run. There's because her mom is basically raging all that war across the continents, and obviously she's getting manipulated by the bigger threat. And like the storytelling is really good in the game. It's really good, especially there's the characters. I thought they did a great job even back then of character development. There's always characters you're like, man, don't really like this dude, but then
Mhm.
like they grow on you.
Yeah.
You're
I
like,
think
okay.
those are special kinds of characters, I think.
Mm-hmm.
When you don't like them at first and then
Yeah.
you end up actually kinda they grow on you and then you love them and you don't wanna see them go, all sorts of stuff. That I think you get more attached to those characters than anything, I think,
I mean,
because you kinda
look,
grow with them.
absolutely, and I'm gonna. This is a tangent, but one of the biggest characters we probably like love to hate is Mojito from. I hope I said the name.
Mahito?
Mahito. Sorry, from
Yeah,
Jujutsu
we just call him
Kaisen.
I just usually refer to him as Patch Face because he deserves nothing
That's what we
more.
call him, Patch. It's Patch Face, but that's our nickname for him. But as we watched the show, I don't know how many, like 3 times now. We say it every time of how good of a bad guy he is.
Oh, yeah, absolutely hate him, but he's a good bad
And
guy.
that's what I'm saying. Like the voice acting's phenomenal, and it's
Yeah.
so funny every time we hear this dude's voice, and we're like, "Oh, Patch Face."
Yeah.
We don't even call him by his real name anymore. Like, oh, it's Patchface.
Yeah.
And so
And we recently had the fun pleasure of seeing him not voice a bad
as a
guy
good
for
guy, that's
once.
right.
Yeah. Recently we watched
Noblesse.
Noblesse
Noblesse, sorry.
no, I called it Noblesse for a while too, but fun show by the way, but he
It
voiced a really
is.
good character in that too. And I was like, "Oh my god, you're not a villain. Who would have thought?"
We fully expected him to be a villain too, so it's funny.
Yeah, he kind
But
of was at first, but
well, yeah, and then he turned a corner, so it was
yeah.
super interesting.
Yeah. Good show though if anyone wants to give that
Oh
a
no,
try.
it's only one season. It's a good show.
Yeah.
Which
And
I
if
did.
anyone wants to read the webtoon, I heard,
Yeah, yeah. I guess
obviously
they,
it's
from what we read, they cut out a lot, and
yeah.
so
Which is just a common thing with
yeah.
webtoons, but we won't get into that now. I could go on about that for a while.
But it's good. Yeah, like you said, it's good. But it
Yeah.
just character development is just super key. Now,
Mhm.
one thing I think Final Fantasy has struggled with, especially back in like those games, right? Because Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, I know 7, I'm trying to think how many characters there are. There's like 3, God, like 9 maybe?
That'd be fitting.
Let's see. Well, because I'm naming them all in my heads right now. And the reason I bring this up, because we talk about character development, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. Let's see. I'm talking main characters. 8. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 main characters that you can play. Okay. Now,
Okay.
one of them, I don't know what you call it, dies. And so we all know who that. Look, that game's even older than this one. So, what I mean, and plus I'm not even counting Sephiroth, the villain. So you've got a lot of character development you've got to do.
Yeah.
And I do think 7 at times struggled with it. And now they tried to add like some optional stuff that, I mean, do you even know would happen unless you stumbled upon it to kind of help with some of that void? Because like 7, very rarely talks about, the guy named Zach who, sorry, I'm way off on a tangent, but
No, you're good.
long story short, Cloud through Genova cells, basically, Zach's memories go into Cloud, yada, yada. But they don't really mention Zach or what happened hardly at all. And so you're like, okay.
Not in the remake, yeah.
No, I'm not the remake's different. I'm talking about the
Yeah.
original. Yeah, the
Well,
the
yeah.
remake and Rebirth get hella into that. So which is good.
Yeah.
But like some of the older games, there's so much going on. It's sometimes
Yeah.
it's hard to get into the character development.
Yeah. I get that.
Because you got
I
so
don't.
many.
Yeah. Even they did have that DLC with Zach.
Crisis
A
Core.
while. Yeah. Which was good.
Which
you
is
he kind of.
yeah.
It was
No,
cool.
I loved Crisis. I did. I didn't play it, so it originally came out on the PSP, which a friend of mine I was talking to, he played it all the time, but I didn't have a PSP. And then I can't remember. I had God, I'm old. A PlayStation Vita, but I don't think I could grab it or something.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, but so when they finally did a remake to the PlayStation 4, or was it the 5? I don't remember. That's when I played it. But yeah, I like Crisis Core. It definitely filled a lot of some, I don't say plot holes, but just kind of helped the story to me.
Well, honestly, it further solidified my viewpoint where Sephiroth is just a big bad baby.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. I will never stop saying that. I don't care if it's a hot take or not. He's literally just having a temper tantrum, and that's it.
You know what's funny? When you think about Sephiroth, I know we're still on a tangent, but like, so Sephiroth, if one of the most, iconic villains, and I mean, he's spread across gaming. He's in Kingdom Hearts. He's like, so Sephiroth is very iconic. Has tremendous power. Let's be honest. Probably the best swordsman.
No, yeah. Don't get me wrong. He's a great
No, I'm getting into why you think that, because
yeah, his style is great.
Yes.
His power is great.
look
His
is
vibe, his
phenomenal.
personality, it's great.
But then he finds out he's basically okay. Long story short, Sephiroth, and this is the whole reason for him wanting to take over the world, basically. So his mother, it's called Genova. Her name is Genova. She was like 2,000 or 3,000 years old. They called her a calamity from the skies. So the remaining, who they call the Cetra, which are ancients, banded together, defeated her, basically wiped each other out, and then regular humans take over the world and they kind of ruin it. And so Mako knows this. So Sephiroth finds his legacy, or finds his ancestry out, and then honestly, like you just said, kind of goes into like a deep, I don't know, depression. Is the
Yeah,
right
it's almost like an identity crisis, really.
yeah, so that he was created like 5 years ago. He was created. Okay,
Mhm.
he actually did have a mother who gave birth to him. That ties into a character's name Vincent's storyline. Her name's Lucretia. I'm not saying that right. And so this is, believe me being a nerd on this, but you're right. Like he finds this out. The professor who worked on it was killed by Shinra, and he basically, I mean, honestly, has a temper tantrum and starts killing everybody.
Mhm. See, look, if no one knows this, if anyone knows this, Sephiroth was actually like a really relied upon
He was a good
and
dude, actually. At
yeah,
one time, he was a
he was
really
a
good dude.
hero and
Yep,
people
he was a
saw him as a
hero.
hero, you know. He was I'm blanking on words and stuff here, but
Well, he was the best soldier they had by
yeah,
far. I
and
mean,
people revered over him,
yeah,
you know. He
and he
was
was actually kind of
good.
cool. Like he
Yeah,
didn't.
you kind of saw this in Crisis Core. You
Yeah,
know,
yep, yep.
he was a good guy, and it was really cool to see him like that. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
with his power, with his, you know, but he obviously wasn't like a outgoing, super
Well, yeah, he
ecstatic.
wasn't like a social butterfly or
Yeah, not
anything.
like Zack was, but it was still
Exactly. Yeah.
cool to see. You know,
Yes.
he had like a common collected hero, get stuff done, gonna
100%.
help you, stuff like that. And so when he found out this information that, look, it's a shell shock. Anybody would be,
Yes,
obviously.
that's a good point.
It's
He had the
okay to,
right to kind of maybe
yeah, it's okay
overreact.
to take a few days,
Yes.
you know, sit down and think
Sleep on
about
it.
things. Yeah, it's totally cool. I get that. But just the road
Well, he went from like depression to murder in about a
yeah, and
span
I
of a day.
didn't really get that.
Of a
I was
day.
like, I didn't really understand this progression, to be honest.
Oh yeah, no, it was a very fast progression of man. Was I created? This kind of sucks. To you know what, mother? I'm killing everybody. Let's take over the world.
Yeah, I
And that
don't
was
get that. I really don't. I understand that, like, maybe because he's embedded with Genova's cells, that he
right.
may have
Yeah.
her, like, ideologies kind of ingrained in him.
So
But that didn't
yes,
happen. He didn't really, from what I could tell, he wasn't being affected by that until he found out. So
Mhm.
he was just kind of like,
Yep.
he was so
Agreed.
weak-minded that when he found this out,
Yeah.
somehow he was like, it's almost like what's the effect that you call when, like, say you think you're taking a narcotic pill, but it's really just a Tic Tac
Oh,
or something.
placebo effect.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's basically that, and it just goes downhill from there. So I'm like, man,
Yeah.
you were a hero, but you were so baby-minded that you had a tantrum and started murdering people, and that's how you progressed. So I was
mean,
like, okay.
No, yeah, he went from that to I'm taking over the world, and basically, so if you don't know the story, I don't know how, but basically taking over the world and use the planet almost like a ship to go take over other planets. It was kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm. Again,
So
it's like, how did we get here? I'm just.
a very fast progression, I'm telling you.
Mm-hmm.
So 9, the intact is nothing like that. It's very, I would say, more straightforward as a villain.
Mm-hmm.
He's into he already knows he's evil, right? Let's be honest. He's manipulating people on Gaia to do his bidding to basically destroy, because he's going to take over it. But there's no like, oh, I was once good. I bet no. He was, and it all stems from him and Zidane are from this other world. Yada yada. Long story short, right?
I
Like,
actually really like that. I like how he's
it's
just
very straightforward.
been a
Yeah,
villain from the get-go.
yeah, yeah. There was no
Yeah.
this like progression of man. I was once a good guy, but now I found out. No, nothing like that. It was
Yeah.
basically
Again, not a valid reason to start killing people, but oh well. But I think, like, and I talked about this before, I think so many stories, especially nowadays, are so afraid of making a good, honest, just big bad villain. Like, no sob story, no.
Well, the anti-villain thing has become really popular.
And I get that anti-villains are great, they're fun, but man, I
It
just
depends,
love.
though, right? Like,
Yeah, I just love a villain. You don't have, like, they don't put like a sob story next to you and you start empathizing with them and stuff. I just want a big baddie who's just big bad, you know?
well, and I think that's I think why a lot of the like the animes we really like. That's kind of like our MO, right? Because take Demon Slayer, right? Muzan, obviously,
Yeah.
he's
No,
not.
he's been
never-
bad from the get-go,
Never,
for sure.
never once was a good guy.
Yeah,
you
even when he
know?
was alive, it was just like, nah, you got some
100%,
problems.
right? Like so, you know, stuff like that. But then, so I think the whole anti-hero thing has become so popular, especially in like movies now,
Well,
right?
I
Because
think
you,
nowadays it's overused.
well, that's what I'm saying. Like it's been really, because I mean, honestly, who made that pretty popular? I mean, I'm sure I'm forgetting some, like Venom,
That's what I
right?
was thinking. Yeah,
Venom is the one I
anti-villain
can
was.
really look back to and go, yeah. I mean, because Venom was typically always a bad guy.
Yeah.
And so Tom, and don't get me wrong, I love it. Like they're fun. Tom Hardy is a
No,
phenomenal actor.
I like the direction with the live action for Tom Hardy's that they took
Yeah.
first movie. I thought it was really cool. I thought, okay, I could vibe with that. That's kind of cool,
Yep.
you know. Because you already got like tons of content to where Venom's a big bad, right?
Exactly.
So it was kind of nice. And the live action, the first one especially was great. I think it looks great. Their dynamic was good.
Right.
It was a great take.
Oh, it
But
was. It was. But
yeah,
I do agree with you that I think it's getting overused. Like we're watching now. This one doesn't really count because it's a little older. But we're watching what's it called? Is it Code Geass or Project
Code
Geass?
Geass, yeah.
Code Geass. So the main, I mean, the protagonist is an anti-hero. There's no
Yeah.
question. Which I think with that story it works. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, you know, there's so much of the anti-hero thing. I mean, it's not just movies. It's in games. It's
Yeah.
anime, and
And so you kind of get like annoyed because then you're like, "Oh, okay, I'm not like
well,
you,
especially because you want to. Honestly, you should hate the villain.
yeah, you want to hate them. You don't want to feel
Yeah,
like mo
you can respect it, the act, you know how they, and that's character development too, right? Like,
yeah.
okay, they did a great job of going, okay, yeah, he's the villain. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? Like,
Yeah.
again,
Honestly, well,
so
we already talked about this, but JJK I think did a pretty good job because
mhm,
they only had like
very good
obviously
job.
all the cursed spirits that were forming around whatever's possessing Gato at this moment.
Oh, the
Spoiler
brain, I
alert, by
can't
the
remember
way.
what.
Sorry about that. And then you had, Sukuna especially. Like
One of the best
he
villains
was a
I've.
criminal when
Oof,
he was a human and then became the king of curses. Like super awesome
phenomenal.
big baddie, because I mean he worked from the ground up and became the king of everything. So I'm
That's
like,
insane.
yeah, I'm down to clown. But
One
again,
thing
we're not
cool about
saying
Sukuna is that
yeah,
he doesn't care if you're good or bad. He's going to kill you
yeah.
because he
No,
was taking out curses left and right too. He
yeah, he
doesn't
was.
care.
That's what's cool. I want someone who
And
doesn't
kind of like
care.
Muzan, he doesn't. I mean, he kills his own demons,
Well,
right?
that's
Like,
what I'm saying though, like,
yeah,
that's what makes these villains so
yep,
formidable is because they don't care about
agreed,
anything. They will
completely.
sacrifice, they will plow through whatever
To
they
get
can
what
to
they want.
get their own goal. Yeah, to get what they want. And I like that. I love that.
Oh yeah,
And again, I'm not saying the anti-hero trope is bad at all. It
no,
can be good if done right, but I feel like
exactly.
nowadays I'm kind of tired of it just because in no hate to anyone who is
Well,
using it.
it's done a lot,
It
right? Like
is. It's done quite a bit. Then they'll give you a sob story about them, then you're like, "Oh, okay, well, I guess, that sucks. I wish he went down I'm like, "Man, I just
yeah,
want no." I
yeah.
want them to kill each other and stuff,
And
so
like you said, I think you said before, the Venom I think worked because they worked with each other on how to control like him eating people, especially and
yeah,
stuff. You know,
it
like
was a cool dynamic. Yeah, I
it
think
was. I thought it worked. And
yeah.
we
I
just
was glad that
watched.
they didn't try to, like, just tamp down
Yeah,
his
it
feelings at
worked.
all.
It
Yeah,
worked.
because
It did. And he would let him eat bad people. I'm like, okay, that
yeah,
kind of
that's the thing. Because
works.
at the same time, it's also like, you're kinda tired of the goody two-shoe heroes. We're like, "Oh, no, I
Well,
want"
Marvel's typically bad about. I mean,
yeah,
Marvel's. Oof.
it gets kind of annoying. Like, I'm not trying to watch a cartoon here. Okay, I see a bad guy, you beat the bad guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah,
But yeah, so in circling back, it's kind of that's how Nine's obviously it's how Nine's villain is, right? Like you can tell like this dude's manipulated from the behind the scenes, and there's another great like I don't know why I thought it's Legend of the Dragoon if you ever go play it, but same thing. You're like manipulated from the scenes, and then
that'd be a great one to remaster.
oh my god, I'd take my money at that
Yeah,
point. I would give
I
anything,
feel
but
like a lot of people would feel that way.
it's got a cult following. It really does.
Yeah,
It's really good. If you've not played Legend of the Dragoon on the PlayStation, you can play it on the PlayStation 5 4 because they did an update for it, and so you can stream it. It is one of the best JRPGs I've ever played. It came out like at a weird time. I want to say it got sandwiched between like maybe even Final Fantasy 9.
Mm.
in another game or something like that. December 2nd, 1999. I know it got sandwiched, but anyways, it is, my God, it is so good. But anyways, and so I agree with you on like the villain aspect, how they do it. But just kind of, in Final Fantasy IX was a really big success back in the day. Because I want to say, man, how many copies did it get up to selling? Like 9 million, I think, or what was it? Yeah, 9 million copies. Yeah. And so for a game that's back in 2000 with inflation, that's really good.
Yeah, it actually is.
And so if you can imagine a remaster, and that's probably not, I don't know if you can stream that game or not, but that's in phenomenal numbers for a game that old. And so, like I said, the remake train, the rumors have been, like I said, ever since the Nvidia leak, it's just been going on. And of course, I keep track of it too. I like every now and then I'll Google it and stuff just to see if there's any new news or anything. But I can't imagine that it wouldn't be, if they were going to do it. I think tomorrow is the best time to do it.
Yeah, I agree.
Why wait, right? Like
Yeah.
it wouldn't make sense to, let's say, wait till September to announce it in 2026. It just, announce. I don't care if it's coming out in 2026. I just want to know if it's real.
Yeah. Well, again, like I said, tomorrow would just be ideal, and it wouldn't really. If you're actually planning to do it, I don't know if anyone is possibly worried about them taking longer than anyone's expecting. I think they should take as much time as they need. But as
Yeah,
long as they're able to announce that it is coming, I think
that
it will still be well received. So might as well do it sooner than later. And at the perfect
100%.
yeah, and the perfect time of the 25th anniversary it sounds perfect, you know?
It's perfect timing. It really is. Like like you said, take your time.
Yeah.
I think most of us gamers just want to know if it's getting done. You
Yeah,
know what I
exactly.
mean?
If it's happening or not, you know? It's
I just want to know if it's happening.
Yeah, it's been a highly anticipated possibility for a while. So,
Oh my gosh, just the amount of enthusiasm I would have for this would be epic in my opinion.
oh, for sure.
But yeah, so it's a tomorrow's a huge day for Final Fantasy, and of course it may not be. They may just be putting artwork and all this other stuff out there for the fun of it. I really hope not. So,
Yeah. The
uh,
artwork is great so far too. I
oh,
want to
it's
shout
really
out to
right.
that as well.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's very good.
And so, there's so much potential with it. And I think I mentioned this before. If you haven't, it's on YouTube, or you can just go to FFIX-memoria.com, and you could dude, this 25-minute clip they did is really neat.
And the style also
me.
reminds me of kind of like a indie game kind of look, you know,
Right.
with the style of the environment and the
Yes.
characters
Yeah,
and
there you
stuff,
go.
you know.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of that. And I think that really adds to its charm, you know.
Yeah. That's a really good point.
Yeah, kind of like it's nostalgia and comfortability, but
Absolutely
also it's
nostalgia.
still being a great game, you know.
Oh, it's so good. I like that though. That kind of that indie feel.
Yeah.
That's a really good point because just so it's Vivi walking through Alexandria and the landscape. I love this look, like you said. I love this look.
Yeah, me too.
It doesn't need to be like uber realism, because that's not what 9 was about.
Mhm.
I love this. I think it would be phenomenal. I hope they take this and run with it. Oh, that's what the remake looks like. And I think this would probably get it to release faster than doing it like 7.
Yeah.
Like
No,
ultra real, you know what I mean?
100%. Yeah,
You know,
because think about even with, splitting it up, I get that, the stories with how much they added, which I do
it
think
was a
they
lot.
could have still shortened it if they
Oh
didn't
my
have as
gosh.
many side
Don't
quests.
get me started on that.
But anyway, the amount of detail that they put in this game, and it's great. It looks amazing, but it's definitely something that garners a lot of time, and commitment. And so, and not diminishing the time and commitment to what they would put in for
Yeah.
9 either.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But
for
it's
sure.
kind of like a given that it wouldn't take as long
This style
of an
especially
extensive
wouldn't,
period,
right?
for that style.
And I want them to keep turn-based too,
Yeah.
because just like Claire Obscure showed us, you can do a great turn-based RPG game still.
And that Claire really opened my eyes to like
Right?
to the turn base still being
Yeah.
really fun,
Like
you know?
relevant and fun.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Because for a bit sometimes I'd be like, I don't know, it's all right, but that was great. It was really cool.
Oh my gosh. Like,
But I also I remember, turn base only ever experienced it when I was young and had no
yeah, for
attention
sure.
span. So now it's like, oh wait, this is great. Actually, this is really cool.
Yeah. Claire, and so I want to compare a little bit to Claire to Legend of the Dragoon. So Legend of the Dragoon, so a turn-based game, it was a little more interactive because like Legend of the Dragoon, you had combinate. So like, say take Final Fantasy 7, you press X on attack, he attacks. Right? You do magic, he does the magic. Well, in Legend of Dragoon, you had God, what they call them? I want to call them combos, but there's something they're called additions. And so you had a 5-hit addition, you had to hit X at a certain time, but then they could counter, you had to hit a different button. So you were
That's interesting.
Yeah, so you were you had to stay alert instead of just like oh X X X. You know what I'm saying? Like you
Yeah.
could just plow through it.
That's kind of cool.
It was different. It was very that's why I
Yeah.
think it sets it apart. It's crazy to me how
That's a great idea, actually,
100%.
because sometimes depending on who you are, turn based is like I said before, it did it to me. It can kind of turn you off just because it
Yep.
feels less immersive.
That I think some people who are not into the genre get bored with it
Yeah,
because you can kind of just button mash.
yeah.
If
Well,
you
that
think
kind
about it.
of reminds me of like the what do you call them, like Injustice and Mortal Kombat games, all their combos for their
Oh
attack
gosh,
patterns
yeah.
and stuff, and how you had to get it right and all that.
Yep. Well, and like that Demon's Dark, like their attack
Yeah.
patterns, right? You have to learn attack patterns because unless you're just a god at the game, it's going to take you multiple tries to beat a boss.
Yeah.
You
No,
know,
I think that's a good idea though for turn base to have combos and stuff like
yeah,
that they have to do, and then counterattacks with different.
yeah,
That's really cool idea, honestly.
and that's why I think Claire made because Claire was kind of the same thing. You had different button combinations to do your attacks and stuff, and it was like you said, it was immersive, and you felt
Yeah.
engaged every time you fought
Yeah, you did.
because you had to pay attention.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, because like I said, there is a playstyle. It's called button mashing, and like the old like God of Wars, right? You pretty much button mashed.
Yeah, the old ones were really
Yeah,
keen on that.
yeah, and which was fine. That was the game, right?
Yeah,
But
that's what God of War was for a
100%, but
while,
turn
and
based,
it was still great.
yeah, it's great. But Final Fantasy like 7, 8, 9, you hit attack and he attacks, and that's believe me, I still love it. But I could see where a new person coming into it, like, man, it's kind of boring.
Yeah.
A little
Because
bit.
that's how I felt when I was like new into gaming and stuff like that. It just kind of
Yeah.
felt boring, but especially after Claire and stuff like that,
Oof.
it's because I'm at a point now where like I don't like a lot of pressure on me. I can't think can't think of my toes very well. So having that kind of little bit of that pause and being able to strategize real, it's really neat,
Exactly.
and I
Now,
like it a lot.
and that's what I like too. So, like, Final Fantasy's gotten away from turn based, obviously, into we call like more freeform
Mm-hmm.
fighting styles. And the one thing I really liked about turn based, like Claire and all these others, is that I love the strategy that goes along with it.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, if I attack, let's say with magic, what's my next attack need to be? What's the one after that? Because you could start planning. Okay, if I hit them with, say, a weakness to lightning, my next character can blitz him with a lightning. So
Yeah.
I like that strategic
I think it's
aspect of it.
cool. Yeah, I think that's cool too, building on that, because when you play these two, if you hit them with something and it doesn't work, you're like, okay, that's
Yep.
not formidable
Yeah.
enough, and so you gotta pick something different. You have the time to kind of think about it and
Mhm.
really kind of get down and dirty with how to strategize, like you said. And I
Yep.
think it's really cool.
Yeah, because there may be enemies that you don't know. Say they absorb an element you
Yeah.
didn't know. Like, well, crap, I gotta change my whole way of thinking now
Mm-hmm.
because I was ready to blitz him with fire, or say my weapon. So, like Claire specifically, and some other like RPGs do it too. You can get elemental based weapons, and you're like, well, if he absorbs that element, okay, I can't what they call physical attack anymore. It's got to be all magic.
Mm-hmm.
Or you turn that character into like your healer. something like that, because the enemy's just taking away his biggest advantage was his sword. Well, I can't use it because it'll heal him. And so I like that aspect of these games, the
Yeah,
turn-based
it's
ones, right? Like just
yeah.
the strategy part.
No, it's just really cool to be able to do that and, you know, just be able to think about it. I think it's just really fun. It's almost like playing you're playing like a game, but it's kinda like, board games and stuff like
Yeah,
that, or,
100%.
it's just fun, and it's a really cool way to play games and really have fun with it.
Oh yeah, it 100% is. And like I said, if you're, if you don't like the newer style where it's very we say fast paced, but it's real, what they call real time, right? It's
Yeah, it's real time, you gotta think, like I said, on
very
your
fast,
toes,
very
you gotta
fast. Yeah.
keep up with what's going on. You don't have time to pause. You don't have time to think. You gotta like just go, 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 right?
Yep.
And which is fun, very fun to watch and very fun to experience too.
Absolutely.
After, kind of diving into it, it's not my forte
Yeah.
specifically. I'll do it, but it kind of scary.
Well, yeah, I mean,
But
especially if you grew up like I did on the older turn. So I remember, I think it was Final Fantasy 12 that got away from the like turn based, right? They're still kind of turn based, but 12 was the first one's like real time, and you basically could create like grids, and you could
mhm.
basically 12 had it to where, oh my god, what they call it, like gambits, that you could basically have your party act on its own. Yeah, so you could teleport. Say you've got one character had a bow and arrow. You could say, "Hey, you target any flying enemy right off the bat." And so,
That's
because
kind
you
of cool.
you basically kind of like 16, you control one character, but you could have your other party members act out, and
Yeah,
you can even put gambits on your party leader, and you can basically put the controller down.
that could be kind of
So
cool actually.
it is, and like I like it and don't at the same time, because I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I want to control this. You know what I mean? But you could literally set every character up as soon as they come in, uh, to basically, yeah, I mean, heal, magic, attack, do anything on their own.
Yeah, you know what's funny? I feel like I'm thinking of a game and I can't think of exactly what it is, but you basically do that to where you program all sorts of actions
Yeah.
you want it to do, and then you just play it and you sit back and let it go, and it's kind of like I don't know what I'm thinking of, but
Mm.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, 12 is
Yeah.
the main one that comes to mind, but I'm sure there's others out there. I just can't.
Well,
Yeah, I'm like you. I can't think of it off the top of my
yeah.
head, but
Basically the whole thing though, it kind of reminds me of programming and stuff, so it's
yeah.
pretty interesting.
No, I mean, honestly, it's what you're doing. So you can upgrade your gambit system where you could have like one character could have up to like 10 gambits. And honestly, it's like you prioritize one, obviously they're down to 10, but
Mhm.
I
I feel like we'd
mean,
be watching a movie at that point once you press
honestly,
play.
you basically, once they fight, you're done. You control the character, you move on to the next one, and you just put your controller down. It's even boss fights are like that. I mean, you can
That's
literally put your
interesting.
controller down.
I could see like a love-hate relationship with that.
Yeah, because if you, it's almost like giving up control.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's like I play these games to have control. You know what I mean? I want to tell my character, but I mean, it was kind of cool because what you like, I think how I did it second or third time I played it was I would control the main character, but I just tell my supporting characters just to do it, so that way I can just focus on the fight and the boss and with my one character.
Yeah.
So, but again, there's multiple ways to do that, and then I'll be honest. A coworker of mine loves 13. 13 is really hard for me to get into. It's a weird storyline, and there's like these, and characters. This, I know it's a JRPG thing, but there's like, how do I say this? We deal with an anime, the over sexualization and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's a girl. She can't be, I don't know, 14 or 15, but I mean, they have her make these noises. I'll just say that. I'm like, why is this in here? And I was talking to a friend of mine. He's like, I was like, yeah, it's just, why do they have this person making these noise? It's just weird.
Yeah.
Um,
Very weird, like a very odd decision when
yes,
'cause it not it doesn't build on the story, or it
no, it does
shouldn't at
nothing.
least.
Um, and the characters are really hard to get into.
Okay.
The main character, her name's Lightning, and then there's a
Huh.
side character who's this Oh God, what is his name? Voss or I can't remember his name, but he's God. It's so easy to dislike this dude. Um, I'm the hero, and he's just, oh God, it's just really bad. And
Yeah. It's like
I don't
like
know.
a hero complex or something, or
I
is it
don't
just like a
know. I guess, man. And so I was playing on my Steam Deck as he was telling me. So it's only Final Fantasy I've never played all the way through. Is what's crazy. And oh my God, dude, like I just can't do it anymore. It's just not good, man, to
yeah.
me. You know, then 14's the big MMO RPG. 15 I didn't care for. And 16 was I thought was really good, except for the end. But
So, yeah, 16 was really great because okay, so first of all, the visuals on 16 were, I mean, top
phenomenal.
notch. And honestly, while I absolutely love the remake for 7, I honestly kind of prefer the visuals to 16 more
Yeah, yeah,
because they had a more fantasy edge to it, right? Obviously, they, and the way that they put how do you say the way they structured the summons into the
yeah.
story plot where they were all kind of like basically what do you call it? Like, what were they called? Everyone that I can't remember whether it started with a D or something like that. What was it like? Dominion? No. Anyway,
God Almighty! If
but
you had
it's
to say
basic.
anything, I could have remembered. Dadgummit.
It's basically saying that. So there were one. So think about the summons in Final Fantasies. You got Ifrit, Shiva. Help me out here.
Which one? 16?
I'm just talking about all like the summons
Oh God.
characters.
I mean, Shiva and Ifrit, Titan are like they're
Titan,
always
yeah,
there. Bahamut,
yeah, Bahamut's my favorite.
yeah,
You
he's
got
always there.
Leviathan,
Yeah,
all sorts of
Leviathan's
stuff.
typically always there too.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Phoenix. And so in this, everyone was born with the ability to do this, but only like certain people were selected for
selected
certain
basically. Yeah,
certain entities of the summons, right? The main character is a spoiler, by the way.
yeah.
Just
Spoiler.
letting everybody know, spoiler alert, Final Fantasy 16. But the main character is granted the power to summon Ifrit. And when I say summon, they basically transform.
Dominant is what it's called.
Dominant,
He was a
yeah.
dominant.
They transform into this summon entity and they're like
Oh God, it's
huge,
so good.
they're giants and it's so cool. And so I mean 16 even starts with a fight
Oh my God,
between
it's so
Ifrit
good.
and the Phoenix,
No,
right?
Titan. That
It was the
fight. I'm sorry, the
Phoenix. The,
demo.
the
I'm
very, very
sorry. Yeah,
beginning
yeah,
was Ifrit and the Phoenix.
yeah.
And it was fantastic.
Oh gosh, it's so
So
good.
that yeah. Oh, and who was the? Oh, sorry, I muted myself. I was like, why did I sound weird?
Yeah,
Who is Sid's summon?
Ramu.
Yeah,
Rum.
yeah,
Yeah.
like the wizard lightning kind of guy.
Yep.
Um, and then who was there was the blonde girl too who had someone and she was really cool, but I can't remember what she had.
Garuda, the wind.
Yeah. She was cool. Garuda was cool,
Yeah.
but the way they did it was so cool and it was such a unique take. I feel like for the summons, I was down to clown for it, man.
Oh,
And
I thought it was great.
yeah, like the boss fights where, the main guy as Ifrit would fight the summons as Ifrit. It was so cool. And they even had one where they had semi forms. I think there's a better
That
way that they did it.
I want to say that was the.
Semi prime? Something like
Oh yeah, I was thinking. Okay, yeah, I think you're right. It's something
I
like
don't know.
that.
Something like that. But they would basically, it's like a humanoid version of their summons. So they would stay their selves, but they would have certain features and powers of their summons, and they would kind of like change the way they looked or
Yeah,
have like
semi primed. Yeah, you're right. Semi
semi
prime.
prime.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and it was great. But the storyline was honestly really cool and intriguing. It really
Oh
was.
God, I loved it. Yeah, it was really
Yeah,
good.
it was. I mean, the characters were cool. The character relationships were great to build on. You have like, I know the main character Clive, his mother was a
Yep.
piece of work, and so you
She
had ones that you
was.
liked, had ones that you hated. You always had to have that
Oh yeah.
balance.
Oh yeah. The dude who was Titan's icon or dominant or whatever was you love to hate him. He was a great character.
Yeah, he was a great character. He was like a villain,
Yeah.
but great
Oh yeah.
character. I really liked Bahamut's person.
Yeah.
He was cool. He was like a was he a prince or just a knight? I'm pretty sure he was a prince,
I
right?
think pretty sure he's a prince. Yeah, pretty sure.
Yeah. He was really cool.
All of them I
Yeah.
thought really
Odin's
good.
oh my god, I forgot about Odin. Dude, guys, it's so cool.
He was, I think, one of the best. To
Yeah,
be
he
honest.
looked fantastic. And I honestly I have a bias, so I thought Bahamut looked the best. I think him and the Phoenix were my favorites.
Yeah. Well, anything with a
So
dragon is gonna be cool. Let's be
yeah, I
honest.
mean, obviously, right? But so when I say the end, and there, it wasn't even like the only complaint, even though this game was great. They had a couple plot holes. It was kind of like honestly not even plot holes, but like plot divots, I guess you could
Yeah.
call it. But like, again, spoiler alert. But there was a point where the woman who had Garuda's summon
Hmm.
and Sid who had Ramu's
Yeah.
summon, they had a history together, even though they were
Yeah.
kind of like on opposite sides, right?
Yep.
And they cared for each other, all sorts of stuff. And so, unfortunately, in sometime in the story, Sid dies, and there's a point where, and let me mind you, Clive is a good character. Like he's
Yeah.
morally good, right?
Ben Starr voice is like great. I mean, he's a
Yeah,
great voice actor.
yeah, very good. But yeah, morally good character through
Yep.
and through. And there's a point where it's weird, but Clive actually was granted the ability to basically kind of like absorb the
Yeah, something
summons,
like that.
right?
Yeah.
And kind of like obtain some attributes and
Of their power.
powers.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. And so he did that with the woman who possessed Garuda, and she lost the summon. And it was at a point,
Well, basically, the icon ran free, right? If I remember correctly.
yeah, the icon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she lost the icon,
That's
and
right. Yep. Yep.
there's a scene where once that happens, she's like, "Where is she? Give her back. Where is she?"
Oh,
And it
that's
just
right. Gosh,
cuts.
man, it's been forever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it just cuts from that, and then and so again, trying to tie all this together, that woman also kind of also had a relationship with the guy who had the Titan icon,
The Titan. Yeah. Yep.
right? So her and Sid were old news, even though they're very close, and Sid cares about her, and so currently she's with the guy who had the Titan icon. So Clive goes up to him. Him and the girl were on the same side, the bad side. He goes up to him at some point, and he has apparently, he gives her a box with her head in there,
Oh yeah.
and
Oh
I'm
gosh.
like,
Yeah. I forgot
and you
about
don't you
that.
don't really even know how that actually happened, and you're like, okay, who did this? Who gave
Yeah.
it? And then at some point in the story, they're confronting each other, and Clive's like, "Yeah, I did that. So what?" And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense because
It definitely wasn't his character.
no, it wasn't his character, and he also knew, like, he really cared for Sid, and he valued him as
Yeah.
a mentor, all sorts of stuff.
Right.
And he knew how much she meant to him,
Yeah.
and like it was just so random. It felt like, it didn't really make
That's
much
very
sense at
true.
all. It
That's
was
very true.
It was weird. It was so weird. And so that really was only one of the main kind of divots that I could point on that really confused me and kind of was like, I don't really care for that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
If you can think of anything else, let me know.
No, that's like plot holes. Yeah, there wasn't many, but that's a good. I forgot about that
again,
hole.
not exactly like a plot hole, but definitely a divot to where it just didn't make sense.
Yeah,
And it
because
was
that wasn't his
weird.
character for sure.
Yeah, and then they just kind of just glossed over it. Honestly,
Yeah.
it was
Well,
he.
and once that happened too, one of the because obviously this goes into a lot. Garuda, or I can't remember her name, but she dies.
Yeah, I can't.
Sid dies, and then
Well, obviously her head is delivered. So
yeah, and after that, like Titan becomes so enraged, like he
Oh,
finds
yeah,
out
that
where
was
you're
a-
hiding, transfer, and like completely
Yeah.
destroys your. But then it time skips 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
and so that was kind of weird to me too. It's like, well, what the hell's happened between? Because you're on the run basically at this
Mhm.
point, right? Like he's looking for you.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was really weird too. That was kind of weird.
Yeah, it's a big time skip, like
I
a
forgot about the
big
time,
time
like
skip.
I was trying to think of the times. He was like, "Oh yeah, you're right," because then he was talking to Sid and like they're gonna hate you and all sorts of stuff, and then
Yeah.
they did, and it was kind of like, "Why?
Well,
is this happening?"
and I'll tell you what though, I think 16 had some of the best boss I've ever played in my life.
Absolutely.
You
dude.
basically
It was,
at one point are fighting a mountain as Ifrit. And
Yeah.
Ifrit looks like a tiny little bug.
Well,
It's so
yeah, because
cool.
that was the fight with Titan. He basically turns himself into a mountain ingrained in the ground and just
'cause
fights you like
he
that.
loses himself. He allows himself to lose because he's like, screw it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Which is
oh
apparently
my-
something you can do when
Yes,
you
you
have the
can do.
icons.
Yep.
Is at basically the cost of your humanity.
basically your life, your humanity. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can turn into this
I'm telling you.
formidable.
when this fight was happening, it was just like overwhelmingly cool.
Yeah,
Like it
it
was
was
so
super
cool.
cool. It was so cool.
Because basically,
And
like you said, you're fighting a mountain basically, and it's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, and cool parts too. This is kind of towards the beginning of the game as well. It was towards the beginning of the game, but Shiva
No, that's the
and
very beginning of the game.
yeah, Shiva and Titan actually
Yeah,
had a.
and it's phenomenal.
It was great. It was so cool.
Phenomenal. So the reason I got confused, so when 16 came out, they released a demo
Mhm.
of like the first few hours of the game, and
Yeah.
that Ifrit Phoenix fight was in the demo, and so if you play the demo, then when the game came out, you had the option just skipping right past it, and that's what I did because
Mhm.
I played the demo, so I
Yeah.
forgot about that fight because I
Mhm.
originally thought because if you do that, the game opens up with freaking Shiva and Titan going out,
Yeah.
and it's awesome.
It is great.
Like it's really cool.
Yeah, their
man.
visuals, the
Oh
way they
gosh, man,
designed these icons, it was the
so
best.
good.
It was my favorite, honestly. I'm not
It's
even gonna lie,
it's
it's my favorite.
it's really good, man.
Yeah,
It
and
is.
apparently, you said that they have come out with the DLC for the Leviathan?
Yes, yep, yep.
Yeah, because the
Rising
Leviathan.
Tides, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, but speaking of, like, because we were talking about the ending, the reason why it just trying to accumulate my thoughts here, it just felt underwhelming and also like it didn't really make much sense and it didn't feel like a satisfying end either.
No, no, the ending I did not care for because, okay, spoiler alert. There's the baddie's called Ultima, I believe, and
Mhm. Oh, he was cool too, by the way.
no, the villain was awesome. Let's be
Yeah,
honest,
he
the
was
villain was
really
really
cool
cool.
looking.
So obviously, this game is super long. It's really good. You beat him, and there's God, I can't remember what it's called. There's a what's the sickness called? Oh my gosh, I can't remember what it's called.
Isn't that like the Blythe?
No, it's not blighter. It's so basically if you use magic, or I think that's what it is. You basically, I mean, almost you get turned to stone at some point.
Yeah.
Mm.
No, I remember. Yeah, I can't remember
I'm
what that is
sorry,
called
it's
actually.
been a couple of years since I played the
Yeah.
game, and I'm losing some story points. But anyway, so you beat the main guy that's kind of allowing this all to happen. Not allowing, but he's making it all happen.
Mhm.
And so at the end, Clive's on it. So he I think finally confessed, maybe not his love, but his relationship with one of the girl, I can't remember her name. She does Shiva.
Yeah. That was
You
a
know,
cool
like,
storyline too.
that was awesome. And so he's on the beach and he's starting to turn to stone. I'm like, well, wait a minute, they just beat the guy. Like,
Mhm. I
I
don't know.
didn't
It's just
like it.
no. It didn't really make much sense. And oh god, his brother. So his younger brother is the one who possesses the Phoenix icon. He
Yep.
dies, and
Yep.
that really sucked hard. But also didn't really make much sense. And I was like, oh my god, I got attached to Joshua real hard. So he died. That didn't really feel very like, oh, that death made sense. That death had to happen. It was like it just felt like they just did it. So, like
Well,
again,
yeah, I mean, yeah.
Joshua was kind of like he was a sickly
Yeah.
kid and he
Yeah.
grew up sickly, all sorts of stuff. So he was
But
always
but that was to the fact that wasn't there a reason behind that though? Because not allowing the Phoenix to have, or there was a reason behind that, wasn't there?
you know what I can't remember.
I think there was. I'll be honest with you, dude. I see. Okay, so here's the story behind that. So he was chronically ill due to the immense power of the Phoenix. It was
Okay.
basically taking a toll on his body, and it was basically like a play on the theme of a sickly healer who cannot heal himself.
Ah, yeah, that's why it was so good.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Character development in this game was phenomenal. I think
Yeah.
great,
Mhm.
really good.
No, it was.
But I want to say his mom had something to do with this too. Like there was like maybe
I
she
mean, I'm not gonna put
manipulated
it
his
past
health. I mean,
her.
she's a bad person. Like she's very
Yeah,
bad. Like
I
she's
can put it
bad.
past her because I know like Joshua was kind of like her prodigy child.
100%. Yeah.
Cared about him and nothing else, even when she had another son, all sorts of
Oh,
stuff.
dude. Yeah. Like Clive the man was like,
He was like dirt on her shoe. I mean, it was crazy.
not even like a person to her.
Yeah,
Right?
basically.
I mean,
There was a scene, I think it was in the demo too, but it was when they were younger and kind of either talking or playing around or something, and she goes to Joshua, make sure he's all right, and then the nastiest, stankiest look she could have given Clive, it was like, oh, you hate him, don't you? It was
because
immediate.
it was something to do with the icon picking Josh and not Clive. So she thought of him as like weak. So if I'm not mistaken, since they picked wasn't he considered the heir to I can't remember what part of the country, like their kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say Joshua was picked as the heir because of or something like that. But no, she looked at him like, why didn't God, I was about to say something really bad, but like, why are you here?
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so,
yeah, and like, well, that sucks, you know.
oh God, yeah,
Um,
to have your mom look at you like that.
well,
yeah.
and then just through the whole story too, she was just terrible. She was doing
No,
heinous
she was a great
genocidal
villain
things.
you love to
Yeah.
hate.
Although her ending was kind of unsatisfactory.
Yeah, she
But
didn't
I
get the
mean,
death we wanted, right? If I remember correctly.
yeah, I mean that sounds really bad, but yeah.
But come
I
on,
mean,
it's make believe. Come on, but yeah, I
Yeah,
believe it was
yeah.
something like, "Hey, take care of yourself." It was like really like simple. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
she needed to be
Well, not only for how she treated her sons, but also how she committed heinous
people and
genocidal acts against her
yes,
own people. So
100%.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
didn't she sacrifice her people and stuff
oh
like
yeah,
that? Yeah,
tons of
okay.
times. You know,
Thought
it's like
so.
tons of times.
Because his dad was murdered or killed in
Mhm.
battle.
Well, and she was with Odin, and she was siding with
Ooh,
him.
that's right.
The guy,
Okay.
the guy who had his icon as well.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah,
God, it
he
hasn't
was.
been that long. God,
It's been a bit, you know.
it's
We
been
have a lot
bit.
of content.
So I actually re-downloaded the other day because I want to, because I got the DLCs and stuff on sale, so I want to replay it.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Especially with that, because again, it's a Final Fantasy stick where they put a little too many side quests and stuff in there, and
Lord,
16 had a bunch of that too.
So many pointless side quests. I'll say
so
that.
replaying that would be fun because you don't have to worry about the side quests and stuff like that.
I was talking to a friend, same thing. Like, if I ever replay like Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth, it's straight story.
Yeah.
You know, straight story, because the stories I think are really good, but the side quests make it almost unbearable in Rebirth.
Something.
Well, so
fun
we
to
noticed in 16 the important side quests had like a cross in them. If you remember, like it was like
Which
that got you his chocobo you didn't know about.
Yeah,
and like,
Ambrosia, she was great. She was really cool.
But if you would have done it, you'd have skipped it, right?
Yeah.
Like so.
No, that was nice that they had an indication of what you kind of had to do.
Yeah.
You
But
know?
you didn't know it wasn't required.
That's right, it wasn't.
Yeah, those weren't required. They just kind of gave you an idea. Now that I played, I'm like, oh, those were like, hey, maybe you should do this.
Yeah, that's kind of strange because Ambrosia is a really big factor in the storyline.
Huge. I mean,
you know?
huge because it helped. Obviously, the landscapes are massive, and so it helps you get around.
That, and then like
right?
she even kind of like saves him a couple of times in the story where he's, you know.
Yeah, well, I know the demo she did.
Yeah.
Did she? Yeah, there's no
I'm pretty sure in the actual story she did too. And there was one time where she got like badly hit, and you were like, "No, if she dies, I die."
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, but that's the thing. You can have good, you know, side quests, and it should be if you wanted to make them mandatory, you should let them know that. But you know, I think an example of a game that had actually good side quests and important ones that were fun to do it's probably God of War. Honestly.
Oh God, yeah, God. That was great. Oh my God, they were so good.
They had great side quests that didn't feel like either way too tedious and meaningless or
good.
just, you know.
Those you've got either like some material you needed to like make a new weapon or well, yeah, gosh, they were.
It all like meant something,
yes,
you know. It factored into something important,
100%.
And it was fun to do, you know.
Yep.
Which is really important for a side quest. I feel like you can.
Well, they should add something to the story, right?
Yeah,
they really should.
Yeah, and I know that like for a lot of people, you know, who don't want to 100% the game, it's not really a big deal. They just won't do them, and that's perfectly fine.
But yeah, but like God of Wars, they added something to the story almost, right? Like
yeah. Well, what's good about side quests is like you said, it's a little bit. It kind of feels a bit more realistic and immersive because you're not just doing the storyline. You kind of like you go off and you can explore this world that was created for you 100%. To see, and you can kind of get an idea of the people in it, the places, how the culture, all sorts of stuff you can really have fun with.
Right?
Yeah, the history.
Especially Ragnarok was like Vanaheim was, I mean, full of tons of like side you can miss, like the battle between Freya and Thor. Like you can miss that. You could because it's all optional and stuff. So like if you're into mythology, whatever you want to call it, like do it because like, well, I say do it. Now, Rebirth 16 has some god awful side quests, man. Like, oh my gosh! But like you said, like okay, some of the best stuff is Red Dead Redemption. If you ever played the game, Red Dead Redemption 2 has some of the best stuff as far as like side quests and stuff like that in it because it makes it so immersive. So it's funny. I was playing it, and you come up on this professor. I want to say that's obviously some university, but they're discovering dinosaur bones, and they don't exactly know what they are yet. But she has this
That's kind
theory
of
and
cool.
stuff, and so you can help her track down all these bones. So it's kind of
Oh,
cool.
that's actually really cool.
I mean, right? Because in the late 1800s, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if we knew about dinosaurs. I could be wrong, but the way the game interacts is like they she had a theory, but nobody would take her seriously because A, she was a woman, right? And they're like,
Yeah.
oh, dinosaurs didn't exist, you know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
so, but yeah,
That's
no,
actually really cool.
I 100% agree with you. Like, it makes the game more immersive.
Yeah, it does, because it's nice to also be able to take a break from the storyline, because sometimes it kind of can feel like there's a lot going on. You kind of need like a breather or something. And that's not
Yeah,
always the case, but
the
sometimes
breather.
it
That's a
can be
good
kind of
point.
nice, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
But it's also like, it's just, you're basically, it's kind of diving back into the immersive feeling, but you're experiencing this in as much of a realistic way as you possibly can in this standpoint, right? Because
right,
everyone's going to try and like go and find different things and do different things to help here and help there, and then, eventually be able to progress the story in the best way possible because
right.
of it.
Oh gosh, yeah, good
So,
point.
yeah, so they can be great, but
They
a lot
can,
of
but they can't be overdone.
yeah, they can be very easily overdone if you do too many meaningless, tedious
It's
ones,
meaningless,
which,
exactly. If you do too many meaningless
yeah,
ones, you're like, it honestly, it makes the game drag,
yeah.
and it almost is like because again, I'm probably one of the biggest Final Fantasy nerds, lovers out there, but Rebirth got to a point where I'm like, not the story, because the story's good.
You can
I'll say
kind of get
my
burnt out on it,
ending comments, but it's honestly because I'm a person who likes to try to do everything.
Mhm.
And dude, I think it was like, I want to say Rebirth, if you try to complete it, it's like 100 and I don't know, like 60 hours.
It's a lot.
No, it's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Like, because the
So
main
it
story's 40 hours, I think, 30 to 40, which is great. But doing it, all of it can add an 80 to 100 hours.
yeah, when you're able to triple the storyline, it's just
Bruh,
the amount of hours just from side quests, it's like, okay, we gotta think about something here,
bruh.
you know?
Like when I finished Rebirth, I started looking at, okay, what does it take to do everything? I was like, nope. I was just
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
well, and I'm telling you right now, Rebirth had two of the worst fights I've ever experienced in my entire life. Was A, trying to get the summon Odin. It's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And so I think the whole Chadley thing is a joke to me. There's a Chadley fight because there's a trophy, right, to get the Chadley stuff. Well, there's a
Okay.
fight that so you have to be this really tough guy before you touch his two minions, right? Well, your two side characters, they kind of do what they want to sometimes. Even if you tell them to attack him, they will eventually branch off and attack so you kill those lesser characters, it ruins the challenge. Oh yeah, it's
Okay.
almost impossible to do it. So I was like, no, I'm not breaking my controller over this. It's not
Well,
happening.
so you can't go in by yourself at all?
No, that's to say I would just go in the bottom. You can't. You can't. You have to have a party.
Well, that's strange. How are you supposed to do
I'm
that?
telling you, dude. Like, it's ridiculous. I'm just going to tell you
That's
that. And
crazy.
the Odin fight is one of the most
Yeah,
frustrating fights I've ever done
I
in my life.
had the opportunity to see you play the
Well, like it's
Odin
almost
fight.
impossible because of like, oh well, he gets bored and just decides to kill your whole party.
Well, yeah, it's attack that you cannot avoid no matter
No,
what.
yeah, you can't dodge it, you can't block it, you
Yeah,
can't do
and
anything.
it's a one-hit wonder, so it'll kill you on impact.
Oh yeah, and I even had they're called I don't know, I'll say rebirth earrings. So there's earrings that will it's like they'll break, but they bring you right back to life. I had them all three characters. I'm like, okay, I'm going at it, and then he's like, oh, I'm bored again, kills me. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I was
So
just like,
there's
okay.
really no getting around it, and you can't, from what I can tell, there's no way to either keep him from doing it or, any kind of trigger.
I have Googled this and looked,
Yeah.
and basically you have to, I mean, you attack, obviously you attack, but at some point, literally, it says he gets bored and it's like, you know what, I'm done, you're dead. It's like, oh,
Yeah, which again,
cool.
they're like, no matter what you really do, you can't make
No,
them
there's
not
really
bored,
nothing. There's
you
really
know?
nothing. I
'Cause,
mean,
yeah, I mean, I remember one time you played and it was like, oh man, maybe 30 seconds later, he's like, I'm bored. I'm like, what are you talking about? You've been unrelentlessly attacking,
right.
and
Yep. Yeah.
it's
You can go in there like, okay, I've got it, and then it's like, nope.
yeah. And I think that like it's like you want people to fail in this because an attack like that where you
Dude.
can't really control the trigger of it and
Yeah, it's
how
crazy.
it's a one-hit wonder, like I
Well,
said, you
there's
cannot
no
avoid it.
blocking.
Yeah, it just doesn't
I
really make a
mean,
lot of sense, you
well, it's
know?
not to me. It's not fun
No, it is,
because
yeah.
even your Dark Souls games, you can parry, right? You
Mm-hmm.
can like, look, my Black Myth Wukong is probably the only game I can compare this to, like the Dark Souls, because I've never gotten into them. They're really hard, and people love them. Like, but even then, you have a chance to learn their attack patterns, move, dodge, what have you. Not this one.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, it's basically there's nothing you can do, and it's the most frustrating thing I've ever experienced. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
because like you said, there's no skill to it. It's just
Yeah.
basically I've decided you'll die. You can't block my attack. Peace.
No, that's of course with 99% of gamers, I'm sure, when something happens to where you either lose, something bad that's not in your favor,
Right.
and it's not skill based, that's where you're
Exactly.
like,
Because I don't mind trying to like do. I'll lose a fight 5 or 10 times in a row if I can learn their attack patterns. I'm like, okay,
yeah, yeah.
I know what I need
But
to do now.
but when it's
Yeah.
not, it's like, what is
It's
even the point?
uncontrollable, right? Like it's
Yeah,
completely
yeah,
uncontrollable.
yeah.
But yeah, so we've gone off on a lot of Final Fantasy
Yeah.
here, which is
Well,
look. There's so many games. They're great. Most of them are great. Like I said, I have my issues with like especially 15 and 13. But like even the OGs, like the pixel, they did pixel remasters on like 1 through 6. They're
yeah.
tons of fun to play.
Mm-hmm.
Tons of fun. And then like again, a 7 just kind of broke like just especially here in the United, like the West, where they call it, right? Like it just completely went crazy. And I was one of them. I lost a lot of my teen years to this game, and I'm still doing it as a grown adult. I'm still playing it, but yeah. So again, we started this today, really getting into the 25th anniversary of Final Fantasy IX, the rumors, for me, the hopeful announcement of a remaster tomorrow. But I think one thing you say about Final Fantasy, at least for me, and probably a lot of people, what drives you to play the game is the story.
Yeah.
7 has
Absolutely.
a phenomenal story. 9 has a great, like, I think if you can, so I might be different. I know there's other people that don't like story games, but for me, if you sell me on a good story, I can overlook maybe some bad mechanics. You know what I mean? Like gameplay, I can overlook it. If it's
Honestly,
a great story and I'm gripped.
Yeah, it's kind of like watching an anime with terrible animation, but the story's fantastic, you know? It's like,
That's a good point.
like, this is terrible, but I can't stop watching.
You know, it's funny. That's a good point because I think eventually we'll do some stuff on, we're really into Mike, I almost said talkers.
Windbreaker?
God, Windbreaker. So we're what do you think? Probably
No, like, I think we're halfway. 'Cause I
half or
think,
maybe a little more than halfway through
yeah,
season
something
2.
like that. We were just Tsubiki was just introduced,
Yeah,
so we're on
and
that
we
point.
did that whole episode with what's her name or his name Sudiki. Okay, I'm never gonna
Tsubiki.
whatever. And so and it's a season we need to talk about because I know you've read some stuff about how season 2 is the what I want to say crowd reactions or fan reactions.
Well, yeah, so before we actually actively started watching it, and we actually wanted to, because we were focused on something else, and we just let Windbreaker, play out until it was fully out so we could binge
so we
it.
could binge it, exactly.
Yeah, because we had some other stuff going on anyway. And
we're probably doing 3 or 4 nights, so we'll be through with it probably tomorrow or tonight or tomorrow or something.
I love the first season of Windbreaker. I really got attached to it, and I remember, you kind of get like some articles here and there that are recommended to you on your For You pages
like
and stuff
Google or
like
something.
that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I kept seeing articles where it was like some Windbreaker season 2 had some like bad traction for some reason, or it was being dragged. I never read them because didn't want to get spoiled, but I wasn't sure why.
So we'll get into. So I do want to say this because this is I think a hot topic, especially. I mean, honestly, in the world today, what they've are getting into. So they're the main Sakura is going through, I'm alone, now I have friends. This is not to be mean, a typical storyline in anime.
Mhm.
right? You've got I mean, even in games, like you've got like Cloud and Final Fantasy, I'm a loner, I don't want to talk, but they to love people, friends, or whatever.
Yeah.
So
It's a fun storyline if you do it
yeah,
right.
it's a good storyline, but the season starts off really action packed. I mean, the first 2-3
Mhm.
episodes, and then it's kind of gotten, I would say, slower, but it's focusing on some storylines. Well, the latest 2 episodes, or is it 1? Anyways, they introduce a character, okay, that it's just such a, what do you call it? A hot button topic in politics in the world today. Okay, so we'll
Yeah.
get into it. I don't want to take away from our Final Fantasy topic. It is something we'll talk. We'll get into season. We'll break down season 2 pretty soon because, like I said, we'll probably finish it. Obviously, this coming week. We're gonna finish it this week, probably tonight or
Yeah.
tomorrow.
We'll finish it, and I definitely want to do like an in-depth episode on both
Yeah,
seasons because I
agreed.
love it. I love it so much. I think it's great.
So it's. I'll say this. It's one of the different animes for us because this is strictly they say they go to school. That's a funny time I want to bring up when we talk about this. A band of like a group of kids and they're protecting
Mhm.
their hometown just from other
Yeah.
people. So there's no like supernatural element, monster. So it's very
Yeah, kind of like on the
down to earth.
a little bit more the slice of life, I guess, if
Yeah.
you had to call it something.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. And
Yeah,
so
even though it's still like very action packed and stuff
yes.
like that, but yeah,
Well, I mean, like I said, season 2's kind of been slow after the first couple episodes.
a little bit. Yeah, like I
But
said, they're trying to build on a lot of
they're building
storylines and character
exactly
developments.
building a lot of I would say season 2's been all character development.
So far, yeah.
Honestly, I think, which is good. Don't get me wrong, it's
Yeah.
really good because you
Mhm.
have to do that. You have to build these characters up. So
Yeah.
we'll get into that possibly next week. We'll see.
Mhm.
We should finish that and do a pretty in-depth recap. Then we've got
sure.
obviously, I'm gonna say it wrong. Dawn to Dawn. Yes, Kaju's coming out. So
Yeah.
we're still like, all right. Look, we're still waiting on a Lord of the Mysteries dub
Mhm.
because I believe it's in Mandarin right now.
Yeah.
And so we're hoping a dub comes out. We both read that they will.
Yeah, if anyone's curious, I believe it's supposed to come out around the 12th because
Okay,
it's supposed to be
okay.
2 weeks behind, and so right now
Okay.
it's got 3 episodes
3,
out
yeah,
because
3.
2 debuted on the first day, which
Yeah,
was
that's
a little
right.
bit new.
And then one came
So
out yesterday. That's
yeah,
right.
so it should be this coming weekend or
No, yeah, the 12th will be this this Saturday
yeah.
or something.
So
So
a lot of stuff to look forward to. But before we go, I do want to ask you, since we've been talking about this game and stuff and JRPGs, RPGs,
mhm.
since you're an avid player of that trope, what, in your personal opinion, makes a great RPG game?
Story.
Story.
I'm 100% story. Like
Yeah.
I think that's what as when I was younger on Final Fantasy 7 was the story because they did the villain Sephiroth is one of my favorite all-time villains.
Mhm.
Even though like you said he had a temper tantrum.
Yeah.
For me, it's I'm a story-based gamer,
Mhm.
so I don't get into like a lot of shooters and stuff like that. I'll play them,
Mhm.
but even story games, like I love a good story, man. Like even
Yeah.
shooters, like Gears of War, love the story. I
Mhm.
100% love the story. But JRPGs, man, like you sell me on a good story, and I think that's why I got so hooked on Final Fantasy was just the level of detail they put into the story. Like that's for me. That's 100% me. Like God of War. Like even though like I'm just going back to the original, they were button mashers, but I love Greek mythology and I love the story. You sell me on a good story, I can overlook other things like maybe maybe the mechanics weren't really great or something like that.
Yeah.
Like I played remember that it's called Vampire.
Yeah, I remember that.
So the mechanics were kind of clunky, but I really like the story. It's in London, set in like the old London, England.
Oh yeah, like
and
vampires in
Yes.
old London, England. I mean,
Oh,
come
yeah.
on.
100%, 110%. So, I think that's where I gravitate first is okay. Does the story sit? Because like 13, the story's not sitting with me, so I can't get into it.
Mhm.
I'll be honest. It's 100% why. Like,
Yeah.
it's just that's the main part of my issues is the story's not like resonating with me.
That makes sense.
And that's why, and like 7 and in character, and I've told you this, like 7, Vincent is one of my all-time favorite characters.
Oh yeah, he's great. He's really cool.
Red 13 or Nanaki was until they changed his voice. So, like good character development. Like 9, I really love the characters too. I loved like Zidane. Steiner was a pain, but he get like his character was really good and
Mhm.
becomes a great character. And so, 10, God, 10 had some phenomenal characters. The story was so good. But yeah, no, that's 100%. Like for me, like I'm telling you right now, like I don't want to know how much time I spent on 7 when I was younger. What really kind of sucks, you wish they had the achievements because I did everything, beat the emerald and ruby weapons. And if you know anything about those two, that takes hours upon hours of grinding to be able to beat those two because they were introduced into the West versions of 7, and they were the one in the desert. I think that's Ruby. He's not as hard, but the one down in the water, I kid you not, has like over like 500,000 HP.
Oh, really?
And it's for Final Fantasy, like that's crazy, right? Like, and so you basically had to, this is bringing back memories. You had to master Knights of the Round, which was not a nightmare. It was tough to get in its own right. You had to master it twice, so you had 3. And then you had to master another materia called Mime twice, so you had 3. And basically what you did, you Knights of the Round twice, so you had a thing called W Summon, which allow you to cast 2 times. W Summon, and then you mimed it all the way maybe 20 or 25 times.
Okay.
And that's how you beat him, because one of his attacks would kill you. Like it was that, he's that hard. And so if you screw it up and didn't hit it fast enough and he got an attack off, your timing was F then.
Yeah, that sounds like something that you grind for.
So, because your health can't go over 9,999. You can't go over that. So his attacks would take off close to that, if not more.
Really?
Oh yeah, no, it was a nightmare. So, I remember being up till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning grinding your characters to try to master the material so you get another one, but then you had to do it again. And you want to talk about, oh my God, grinding. I'm like, oh, I'm getting tired just thinking about it. But yeah, no. So I do like, a friend of mine does too. I like to grind too. And like Claire, I was like, there's no way I'm not 100% in this game. And so grinded and did it too. But no, that's what I loved about Claire was story. Man, the story is phenomenal. You saw a lot of it. It's so good, man. Like it's really good. But yeah.
It's fantastic. Yeah.
That was a very long answer to your question.
No, that was a great answer. It was.
But story, it's honestly for me, story first. It's got to be story. And then I kind of take it from there.
Yeah, I would agree because I'm a huge stickler for stories as well.
Oh yeah. And so maybe not this time, but another game we got to talk about, one that me and you played, was Mortuary Assistant.
Oh yeah.
And there's also, I was going to talk to you about this too. There's another scary game I just saw. It's called Phasmophobia. So it just sold it sold over 25 million copies. I'm like, we're going to have to check this out.
We've seen Phasmophobia. That was the one with like the paranormal investigator, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's on PlayStation and it's on Steam too, but we're gonna have to check this out. So
yeah, for sure. I'd be down.
So, but yeah, we'll get into some Mortuary Assistant if you're curious. It's an indie game. It's super fun, good scary game. We've done quite a bit on that game, so we'll talk about that in a future episode too. But yeah, good stuff, man. Great stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all the time that we have for today. This was a very fun topic. I think the Final Fantasies will always resonate deep in our hearts. They have such great stories with a lot of different games, and we have our fingers crossed for 9 and the possibilities for it. Yeah. But again, this is very fun, and we hope you enjoyed. We want to thank you so much for joining us and listening. And we should be doing this. Let's see. You said the 12th.
Yeah.
We'll be talking about a lot of stuff coming, like I said, Windbreaker and then the Mortuary Assistant that we're excited about, but just tons of different animes are coming out that we're excited to talk about and just get...
Previous episode, July is just jam-packed with stuff.
We're going to get caught up with a lot of things. But all right, well, thank you so much again for listening, and we will see you guys next time.
All right, see ya.